Hey everyone, welcome to the stream. We'll get started with the lesson in about 15 minutes. Before that, just want to say hi, have a few announcements for everyone. Let's see who's in the chat so far. I saw some people talking about why they're learning Korean, so I started a little poll. Just let me know, what's your reason personally for learning Korean? I want to know, why are you learning Korean? Just curious, out of the people who are currently here right now. And if this is your first time, we always start the classes right at 2 o'clock. So actually right now you're early, so don't worry about that. That over here. Okay. Quick announcements, of course, before we get started. Let me make sure this is actually, I hope I didn't mess up the focus on here. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Few announcements. If you are a Patreon member, you can get the worksheet for today's lesson right now on Patreon. And as soon as this lesson's over, you'll also be able to get the outline, and you'll have access to every single outline and every worksheet that I've ever made since the very beginning. You can get those right now on Patreon. So that's just a benefit for all Patreon members. Doesn't matter if you're if you're rich and you support $1 million a month, or you're I won't say poor, I'll say a student, and you support with $1 a month. Everyone gets access to all of those. Also, other announcements are, if you are a member, you also get to watch these abridged versions the same night that they finish. So after today's live stream tonight, you can watch this lesson that we haven't done yet. So you in the future, 3 or 4 hours or so from now, will be watching. Actually, after it ends, we'll be watching the abridged version of this lesson before everyone else. I think that's it. Yeah. Oh, and next Sunday, there is no live stream. That's normal. I always do 3 live streams in a row, and then I take 1 week off. So this next Sunday will be a break for everyone. So you can still study Korean if you want. You can play my old live streams. You can find any new material you'd like to study, but there won't be a live stream coming up next Sunday. The next Sunday after that, though, we'll start again. There will be 3 live streams in a row. So just keep that in mind. How the live stream schedule usually works is 3 in a row. So 3 on, 1 off. Okay. Hey, Secretive. Everyone say hi to my moderator, Secretive. Thanks for coming. Oh, yeah, someone's talking about this this place that I'm in right now. It looks really nice, doesn't it? Hold on, let me move the whiteboard so you can see it for a second. Look at this. It's yeah. It's a place. I try only to use real places in Korea. So if you watch all of my live streams, well, there's a few exceptions. I do go to the moon in one of the live streams. That's not in Korea. With a few exceptions, all of the backgrounds you see, all of the places that I stream in are real locations in Korea. So if there are any that catch your eye, that you think, oh, that just looks so nice, I want to go there, well, you can. Just plan to go there during your next trip in Korea. There are still plenty more places I've never even shown you before, and I'm sure tons of places I've never even heard of before. So yeah, there's really a lot of cool stuff to see in Korea, besides only the city. And even within the city, you can see this. I think this is also in Seoul. I believe this is actually inside, or a little bit past inside Gwanghwamun. So inside Gyeongbok Palace, which is really famous. And if you go to Korea, you're going to visit there. Like 100%, you're going to go to Gyeongbok Palace as well. Gyeongbokgung, everyone goes there. And so if you walk around, you actually go inside, and not just the entrance part, but you go deep inside of it and check all the buildings out. This is one of the places you can also see. Yeah, right there we go. Yeah, I believe I even have a picture. I think I have a picture there that I took once right in front of that place as well. Anyway, yeah, lots of cool things to see in Korea. So, hey, Sam Strongarm. If you see someone in green, that means they're a channel member. So they pay to support this channel, which I appreciate very much, because it helps me eat, helps me keep going. Rushing War said, the moon is secretly also Korea. Just kidding. Okay. Yeah, I guess if, I don't know, North Korea might think that. But yeah, the moon, yeah, we did go to the moon once, and I went to the bottom of the ocean once. A few other things like that, except for those interesting live streams. Everything else is real photos or videos from Korea. Alexia asks, best time of the year to visit Korea. You know, if you're talking about weather-wise, the best time is going to be spring or fall, obviously. Spring would be, I would say, for the actual nice weather, would be the middle of April. From the middle of April, or even, I guess, the beginning of the April's okay. It's a little cool, but it's okay. Beginning of April until the end of June, I would say, is tolerable weather, where you get a little bit cold in the beginning, a little bit hot in the end, but it's tolerable. And then the fall would be, I would say, from the beginning of October until the end of November. So the beginning of October is still a little bit hot. The end of November is getting quite cold, but within there you can still do a lot of stuff and you won't be freezing and you won't be burning up. So that's the best time for the weather. But the best time for you to visit Korea is really just when can you? And I would say even if you can only go during the summer, you'll still have a fun trip. You plan different things, obviously, if you're going during the summer than if you're going during the winter or, the spring or fall. For example, if your goal is to go see the snow, like go up to you want to go hiking a mountain with snow, I don't know. Well, then you obviously aren't going to go during the summer. And if your goal is to, you're going to be like, you want to be running around, you want to do lots of hiking and walking, well, you probably don't want to go during the summer as well. So I guess you just want to avoid the summer. That's my point. But whenever you're there, just depending on things you want to do, it doesn't really matter so much as long as you can do what you want to do. If your goal is just to go there to meet people and eat food and see concerts or do stuff in general, then you could go anytime during the year, really. You can go when it's absolutely freezing and your ears hurt. It doesn't really matter because you're not going to be outside all of the time. So that's what I'll say. Doesn't matter too much, just when can you go. And the most expensive times you want to avoid, though, I would say would be before March, so like around March-ish. A lot of people go to see the cherry blossoms there. As I believe Japan is the same for that. It varies every year, though. And you also want to avoid going during I believe like right in June or something, like if you're flying, because the plane tickets can be expensive, as well as anytime during winter break can be really expensive because everyone's flying during that time. So yeah, just check prices and when you can. Hey, Joe Turner. 안녕하세요. Nice. Secretive says, you were also in a hot air balloon once. That's right, I was in a hot air balloon. Technically, though, I was over Korea. So that counts. That counts. The internet signal was excellent on that day, I should say. Oh, yeah, this is good tea. I can't remember the brand. It's something, it's like 2 letters and it has an and in the middle of it. I had been drinking some like tea from, I think it was like Winco, which is kind of like a Costco. It was like, I bought it in bulk back in like 2020, so a couple of years ago. And I'd been drinking that exclusively just because it was so cheap. But I never actually drank real, actual decent tea. And then for Christmas, I got some. Let me just say, cheap tea compared with like regular, I don't want to say expensive, but like, regular price tea. It's like a whole different world. Like cheap tea is like, okay, I guess it's like, it's warm. It's warm liquid, to relax my throat. And then like nice tea is like, ooh, it's actually like pleasant to drink. So yeah. Pora says, at what time of the year 무궁화 꽃이 핍니까? 무궁화 꽃이 피었습니다. Yeah. I saw them actually. You can see them a lot. I'm not sure when they blossom. I'm not a what's that word? Botanist. I'm not sure what months they blossom, but I just know you can see them in the summer because I was there. I did a video actually. I filmed, I think it was June that I filmed it, and I saw tons of them. So sometime around then. I think better though is to go when the cherry blossoms though are out, because that also varies every year. I think last year it was in February, which was ridiculously early. It's always in like April usually, but it's like April-ish or sometimes March. when the cherry blossoms bloom. And if you go to places that have those, now you can see them anywhere, but if you go to like specific cities or areas in cities that have lots of cherry blossoms, it's really pretty. It looks like a movie where you just see them, cherry blossom just falling down all over the place. And I actually filmed a video. I filmed a video in Toksu-gung, so Toksu Palace, which is also not too far from here, with Minji Teaches Korean. And that was a video, I think from 2018 we did that. And we rented hanbok and we went there. And it was one of those days when it was just like blowing cherry blossoms like everywhere like snow. But that's even nothing compared to if you go to a real place that has them. So that's really pretty, I think. You can, take lots of nice photos. And it's just really relaxing. You're just, standing outside. There's like cherry blossoms blowing everywhere. And it's really nice. I would recommend trying to go during that if you want to see some nice foliage, right? Other than that, I can't really think of another time that you'd want to go for the just to see like flowers or trees or anything like that. Hey, Lena von Erneren. I'm sure that's how it's pronounced. And yes, for everyone else wondering, we will get started in 3 minutes. If you're wondering, why is Billy talking about plants and making strange sounds? Well, it's because I'm not doing the lesson right now. We haven't started. So... Rushing War asks a question about this. Billy, is going to Korea to see cherry blossoms really worth it? I don't know why you would go to Korea just to see the cherry blossoms. So I guess answering your question is no. Just to go see the cherry blossoms is very expensive. You can load up a 4K video of cherry blossoms. You can buy a 4K TV and you can watch the cherry blossoms in 4K for less than the price of one plane ticket to go there to see them. I think it's part of your trip though. So you make your trip around what you want to do. So say, I really want to go see the cherry blossoms. Great. That's the center point. Everything else though goes around the trip. So you're not obviously going just to see them and coming back home. Like you fly there, today's the day, look at them, take pictures and go back home. No one does that though anyway. No, you're like, while I'm here, let's get some Korean food. Oh, let's meet some Korean friends. Oh, hey, there's a concert. Oh, let's do this. I want to visit this place. I want to do this activity, whatever. Do all those around it. Yeah, then it's worth it. Then it makes a trip. Lena von Erneren. Yes, that is. Oh, I'm so glad. I practiced this. I was sitting up in bed last night, just really, really struggling. How do I say her name? Raymond Dinkin says, we have cherry blossoms too, even in Toronto. Yes, you'll find them all around the world. A lot of the trees have been adopted by different countries as well. And there's different stories for each of those too. Someone gave a donation. I'm not sure who it is. Oh, Mr. D. Hey, Mr. D. Thank you. And I also got another notification. Alexia just became a member. I saw it flash green, so that means I got a new member. Thank you to both of you, Mr. D and Alexia. All right, we'll get started in just a minute. So that's all the questions I'm going to take before class starts. Check out the prerequisites for today. Today's lesson is intermediate level, and I mean that. Sometimes I say beginner level or intermediate and advanced, and they're actually caveats. Like they're different. There are specifics to that. Like, yeah, it's intermediate, but it's, easy to do this or what. This is actually, I'd say, an intermediate topic because you don't need this topic as a beginner so much to speak. This is a topic that will enhance how you sound when you speak Korean. So it's really an intermediate topic. I see I just got another member too. Arturo Alcipia. Arturo. Thank you. I'm sure that's how I say your name as well. I'm getting so good at pronouncing foreign names, aren't I? Arturo. Arcibia. Thank you. 5 dabs for our new member. So, the prerequisites are these. These are what you really need to know for this lesson. The past tense in all forms. I don't just mean 하다 했어요. I mean 하다 becomes 했다. 한 거예요. as the past tense stem. All of these different past tense forms. You want to be familiar with the past tense in all forms for this lesson, because this form tends to get used with sentences that are in the past tense. So you want to be comfortable with it. You don't have to master every possible grammar form that can be used in the past tense. That's not what I mean. I mean the standard past tense, but all forms. As well as the su ita form, so can. Also, because this form gets used in combination with this one a lot. You'll see it used in sentences together with su ita. Finally, optionally, you want to be familiar with these two forms. Now, it is not required. In order to understand the form today, these two are enough. But if you want to know, okay, well, how can I really master this form? What else can I learn? What else can I make sure that I know for this lesson? These two. And you can actually learn these two after the lesson. So this is not even a prerequisite. It's kind of like a post-requisite. Like if you want to really understand the lesson, I recommend after it's done, go study these two forms as well, 버리다 and 고 말다. And I have live streams about both of these as well, so you can watch the abridged versions. You can learn both of these in under 20 minutes. And these ones are commonly used together with the form we're doing today. So they're optional for this lesson, but I recommend knowing them as well. They're kind of, brothers or sister forms. Okay. Arturo says that's correct. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I always try to be understanding of, different languages, try to pronounce everything as perfectly as possible. Just wait until a French person comes in here with a really French name. Been waiting my whole life for French people to join my channel so I can try to pronounce their name with my horrible French accent. Okay. So the form we're going to be learning today is 내다. And the way you make it is you take an action verb and you conjugate it just like you would any other verb. So you take the stem and you attach a, o, etc., etc. So you take the stem and you attach a, o, etc. So 하다 will become 해, just like that. Simple. You should know how to do this part. And then you attach 내다. In fact, the way to make this form is the exact same way as the 대다 form that we did last week. So if you're familiar with that, it's really easy. This is standard for so many grammar forms for how to start it. And you attach 내다. So what does 내다 mean? Well, this form actually doesn't really have to do with the verb 내다, and you don't need to understand it, but I'm going to tell you anyway. 내다 means to produce, as in to produce something, to put forth something, or to supply something. So literally, kind of like saying to produce, to put forth the act of doing something, to put it forth, to produce it, to supply that act. Literally, but you don't really need to know that. Now, this 내다 is not the same as another 내다 that you might have seen. Now, literally it is, but the usage is completely different. Let me give you an example. I'm only mentioning this because you might be confused if you see these and say, well, wait a minute, Billy, what about 화를 내다 or 화가 나다? What's the difference? Is this the 내다 form? No, this is simply the verb 내다. This is not the 내다 form we're going to be learning today. It's the same verb, but it's not the form. It has nothing to do with the form that we're doing today. 화를 내다. Anyway, these are unrelated to the form we're doing today, but I'll tell you what they mean anyway. 화를 내다 is like you are deciding to be angry. You're deciding to show anger. You're showing anger. You're being angry at someone. Versus 화가 나다 is simply you feel angry. So showing anger, to get mad at someone, or just to be angry, to be mad, to be upset. So again, these are not related. This is more related to kind of like passive versus active speech. if you kind of want some more information about it. Technically, this is what's known as a transitive verb, and this is an intransitive verb. And I have lessons about that on my channel if you're interested in learning more about that. Okay, so this is not related to this. I just wanted to get that out there. You see neda by itself, it is not this form. Okay, so for our form, again, what kind of action verb can you use with this? You cannot just use any action verb. You can only use action verbs. Oh. That take effort to do. What does that mean? You can only use action verbs with this form that take effort to do. So what kind of action verb would take effort to do? Can you give me an example? Or can you give me an example of one that doesn't take effort? An action verb that does not take effort. Can you give me an example of one that you couldn't use? I want to see what you're thinking. An action verb that takes effort. You can only use this with action verbs that actually take effort. So what would be an action verb that doesn't take effort that you couldn't use with this form? Yeah, ocean discovery. Toner neda would also be the regular neda verb, not this form. Correct. And Molly, you said 끝나다 and 끝내다. Also, that would be, yeah, kind of like passive and active. Technically intransitive and transitive, but passive works too. Passive's a little bit of a vague subject in Korean. But yeah, that's the idea. So 끝나다 and 끝내다 are not this form either. That's simply the verbs with nada and neda. Okay, tada. Sure. To breathe? No, breathing could take effort, but okay, I see where you're kind of going with that. Christopher Fox, 오다, yes. 오다 is a good example. And we'll talk a little bit more about this as well. But so this must be a verb that actually takes effort from someone to happen. So what types of verbs wouldn't work? 오다, for example, 비가 오다. 비가 오다 literally means the rain comes. There is no effort for it to rain. It just rains. You cannot effort the rain coming. It doesn't logically make any sense. So you can't use it with that. So any sort of weather, because no one's making any effort. You also can't use it with other common verbs. For example, 가지다. 가지다 means to have something, but it doesn't necessarily mean to acquire. It just means you have something. So you wouldn't use it with this because just having something doesn't require. Let me say that again. You can't use it with this because just having something doesn't require any effort. You just have it. You also can't use it with other verbs. You can just write some of these down. To keep it simple, it has to be a verb that you're actually actively trying to do that takes effort. When you think of that, you don't have to worry if you can use it with this verb or that word. Or let me say that again. If you keep in mind that it has to do with a verb, if you keep in mind that it has to be a verb that requires effort, it has to be something that you're trying to do, that you're making an effort to do. You won't have to worry whether this verb works or that verb works or anything like that. You'll feel it. Does it feel like this verb requires effort in this situation to do? If no, you can't use it. And I have a tip for that as well. The next thing I'm going to tell you. Not only does it have to be something that takes effort to do, but it also has to be done by the subject, by the person who's doing it by themselves. So, not just that it's an action that requires effort to do, but it's an action that it's taking effort by someone else. Well, sorry, but it's an action that's taking effort by someone, by themselves. So like I, by myself, use effort in order to, or I give effort in order to do something. So whoever's doing this, the subject, by their own effort. Okay, we're almost done. One more thing now. And this is the most important part. After going through some difficulty. Okay, so when we put this all together, it should help you get an idea of what this form is used for. So, it's only used with action verbs that require effort to do. And by doing that, it shows someone, whoever the subject is, by their own effort, so using effort, by their own effort, after going through some difficulty, did this verb. Let me say that again. This form means that someone, a subject, by their own effort, and after going through some difficulty, does action verb. Think about it for a second. So, there are a few ways we can translate this into English. How would you say that I did something and it took a lot of effort and I was only able to do it after going through some difficulty? After putting forth effort, I was able to do something. There are actually a few ways we can say something similar to this in English, not the exact way. Let me give you a couple translations. Oops, this B looks really weird. Okay, I can't write very well sideways, so forgive me for that. Okay. Two common ways you can translate this feeling that something took effort, someone did it by their own effort, and they were only able to do it after going through some difficulty. In English, we can say this kind of like this. Someone was finally, or someone was able to do something. So I was finally able to, or in the same way, someone finally, or just someone, managed to do something. So I finally was able to, or I finally managed to. Now this finally is optional. It just kind of adds emphasis. Like finally, after all of this difficulty, finally, I was able to. So it's optional if you translate it like this. So this shows in English as well. This shows that something takes effort to do. Because you're not going to say, oh, I was finally able to, it rained. It doesn't make any sense, right? Because it didn't require any effort. Or, by my own effort, I was finally able to, or I managed to finish something, right? It took effort. It took effort to do. So because it takes effort, maybe you almost couldn't do it, but you managed to do it. You were finally able to do it. That sort of meaning. So that's what this form means, and that's how it's used. So when I tell you these restrictions for which verbs, it should make sense. You should feel like, oh, of course. Yeah, you can't say this if it's something that doesn't take effort. You can't say this if it's something that, someone else did for you, right? And you can't say this if there was no sort of difficulty to do it, right? So it fits. So now that you've seen an English translation, these restrictions should make more sense in your mind. Like, oh, of course, I couldn't use it like that. Okay. So by saying this, what it does is this form emphasizes. So this form emphasizes that doing the action, whatever action verb, was difficult, right? Because when you say I was finally able to do something, or I finally managed to do something, you're emphasizing, well, not only did I do it, but it was really difficult. It was really hard. That's what this form emphasizes. So when you use it, you're trying to emphasize that, yes, I finished it. Yes, it took effort, but it was also difficult, right? And this emphasizes that the action was done by their own effort. Whoever the subject is, whoever's speaking, whoever's talking about, whoever did it. This emphasizes that the subject did it by their own effort. So if I say, oh, I finally managed to, I don't know, something happened, I didn't do it. I can't even think of a sentence because it would be wrong in English. I finally managed to, the boss gave me a promotion. Like, ignoring the grammatically incorrectness of it, it doesn't make any sense because you didn't do anything. The boss gave you a promotion. You could say, I finally managed to get a promotion, right? I was finally able to get one. And in fact, if you say that, you're not just implying that it eventually happened. You're saying, I did a lot of work to do this. I did a lot of work to get a promotion, right? It's not that just the boss gave me a promotion. Like, I'm sitting there for 2 days and then I get hired and 2 days later, the boss gives me a promotion. You wouldn't say this. Oh, I managed to get a promotion. Like, you didn't do anything. You just sat there. No, you're emphasizing that it was difficult. Oh, I finally managed to get a promotion. I finally managed to get something, whatever, because I spent a lot of my own effort to do it and it was difficult. So that's what this form emphasizes. Because of this, this form is most commonly used in the past tense. That's why I said you needed to know the past tense for this prerequisite, because although you can say, if you do this, you will be able to, or you will finally manage to, you could say that, but most of the time this structure, this grammar form gets used in the past tense. So it's good to know the past tense. Okay. So because this form is used for actions that are completed, most of the time that tends to be in the past tense. All right. Now, that was a lot of explanation. I know we talked about how to conjugate it, what it means, what restrictions it has, the literal meaning of the verb, when it's used, English translations, all of that. We just talked about all of that, and it's only been like 15 minutes into our lesson. How do you feel? You feel ready to do our first example sentence? Let's do the first example sentence. I'm going to check the chat for a second and see how you feel about this. Jordy Kroon. 시험에 합격해냈어요. Yep, you could use that. 취직해냈어요. Okay. Yeah, I managed to get a job, especially if you're emphasizing it was difficult. You're not just saying I got a job. Yeah, I finally got a job. You're not just saying that, you're emphasizing, no, it was hard to get a job. I finally managed to do it by my own effort. Like, I put a lot of work into it, so I was able to. Okay, let's go on to our first example sentence. Sorry for writing it on multiple lines. I just want to write it really big. You know, my sentence style is I start with something really simple that just focuses on the form. And then I go into longer sentences that show a little more natural, or not necessarily more natural. These are all natural, but more maybe common or everyday uses you might see. So the first example sentence is 제가 이걸 해낼 수 있을까요? Look at it for a second, and then I'll explain it. Let's see here. And yeah, for anyone wondering, this is an intermediate level form, not because it's intermediate level difficulty to use, but because it's intermediate level difficulty to actually use it in your own speaking, I would say. If you're already able to speak without this form, you can say everything that this form has with regular basic Korean, minus that extra meaning of that you managed to do it, that it was difficult. I could just say 할 수 있을까요? And it has mostly the same meaning, just without the emphasis of I have to put effort in to do this, and it might be difficult. That's the difference. So because of that, it's an intermediate form. You already need to be familiar with basic stuff first, and then you can add this in as seasoning to make your Korean, bring your Korean up to the next level. Okay, 제가, I, 이걸. So this thing, object marker, 이것을 해내다 is 하다, to do, plus 내다. So 해내다. So 하다, to do, 해내다, to manage to do. I finally managed to do something, kind of like that. Emphasizing that it took my own effort and it's difficult. So 해낼 수 있다, can, able to. 해낼 수 있을까요? So could I? Can I? So could I manage to do this? Could I manage to do this? Could I do this? It's going to be difficult. I would have to put effort in to do it. And it's going to be all by myself. Could I? Could I manage to get this done? Do you think that I could actually be able to do this? That's sort of meaning. 제가 이걸 해낼 수 있을까요? 제가 이걸 해낼 수 있을까요? So you could translate this as just, could I do this? But it implies more like, do you think I could actually manage this? Like, could I actually pull this off? That's sort of meaning. Okay, this was just a basic sentence. Let's start going into our other sentences. I believe I have 8 example sentences for today. Yes, total. Okay, let's do one. I want you to translate this sentence. Sorry, I didn't want to go on another line. Okay. 강아지가 간식을 찾아내서 먹었어요. I want you to translate this on your own. Write it in the chat. What do you think the translation for this form would be? For this sentence. 아야카타, 사귀다 is not to pick up someone or to meet someone or to start talking with someone. 사귀다 would not be a verb you would use with. 사귀다 is more like, oh, hey, Hyunwoo. Oh, Hyunwoo. If Billy says you can do it, you'd better believe you can. I don't know if that's an insult or if that's encouragement, but I'll take it. I'll take it. Hyunwoo. Everyone knows Hyunwoo from the it's a small website known as Talk to Me in Korean. You may or may not have heard of it before. Let's see. 빌리 선생님이 할 수 있다고 하면 할 수 있다고 믿어야죠. Yeah, and he wrote the same thing in Korean again. Yeah, that's Hyunwoo. Again, from Talk to Me in Korean. He came here just to pay his advertising fee, really. So hold on, he's got to get his money's worth. Let's see what else do I got here. Okay. So while you're translating the sentence, we got our advertising fee. I got to work for it. First, we got common mistakes Korean learners make, which is invisible in here due to the green color. This is our collaboration book. Let's see, what else do I got? Build and extend your Korean sentences. This one I actually have not looked over yet. Sorry, but it's probably cool. I've heard a lot of people say good things about it, and this one's completely green. What is this? Okay. You might need to republish a Billy version of these books. That way that I can show them on my green screen. This one actually, okay. I have 2 others. This one's pretty cool. This one's really popular. Real life Korean conversations, intermediate. I have read through this one a little bit. It has tons of just example conversations that are like real Korean conversations. And I should be showing you, I'm looking at it, as well as just like vocabulary lists. So it's really just like you read real conversations and translations for it. It's pretty cool. And then this one's my favorite one. It's their newer one. It has all of those sound change rules that everyone hates. I mean, everyone loves, including myself. But they're all explained, which is great because there are no other books that actually do that kind of thing. And then this one's just like tips for pronunciation. So this would be the one I'd recommend if you if you're a beginner still, because it has, or this one, I guess. I mean, they're all kind of good, but this one's like, maybe this one's like my personal favorite. This one I like because I helped write it. Anyway. See, did I miss any conversation? Let me see here. Hyunwoo says, did you make a hole in the book? Yeah, that's what happens when you use the book a lot. Now, actually, what I did is I spent a lot of time and I cut out right around the letters. If you do it really carefully, you can just cut out only the letters with small scissors. So yeah, that's what I did because I was really bored one day. So okay, that's enough advertising. Okay, if you're wondering, that was not obviously that I'm not paid to promote anyone. I sometimes joke about I sometimes joke about being sponsored by Expo. I'm not sponsored by anyone. But if you actually want to sponsor me, Expo, then you know where to find me. Okay. And made our book completely invisible. Yeah. Okay. So what does this sentence mean? Did all of you try it? I see several of you did try to translate it. I'm going to read through some of those really quick. Hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second to read through them. Find the snack and eat it. You'll find the snack with effort and find the snack. Excellent. Excellent. Great. I do see lots of you got the translation correct. Yeah. I'm actually studying with your book right now. Nice. Okay. 강아지가 간식을 찾아내서 먹었어요. 강아지. Dog. It actually means more like puppy, but it's used commonly as an affectionate word for like a dog. 간식 is a snack. 찾아내다 comes from 찾다. 찾다 is to look for something or to find something. Can be used for both. So 찾아내다. So it's the same meaning of looking for something or find something. In this case, since it's past tense, it's to find. So the dog found something with effort after going through some sort of difficulty. So it was really hard for the dog. It wasn't easy, but the dog managed to. So the dog managed to find the snack or snacks and eat them. The dog found the snacks and ate them. But it implies that it took effort, that it wasn't just 찾아서. Because you could also just say this, 간식을 찾아서 먹었어요. The dog found the snacks and ate them. I'm a Korean teacher, not an English teacher. But this would not imply that it was difficult. This is just what happened. The dog just found the snacks and ate them. This implies like, hey, I hid those snacks. Like the dog wasn't supposed to find them, but somehow it did. So this implies that it was difficult. And maybe the owner made it difficult, or maybe the owner didn't even know where they were, but the dog somehow managed to finally find the snacks and ate them. And if you have a dog, they do that. They eat everything. Okay, so once, not sure how to say this. My mom's boyfriend once, this was probably when I was a teenager, he bought, so sad, but it's so funny now. He bought, I think it was, yeah. Okay. Do any of you know a Palm Pilot? Do you know what a Palm Pilot is? They were like, before smartphones, business people would have these Palm Pilot, before Blackberries, would have like Palm Pilots, which were just like scheduled devices, and they cost like $400. And that was that would be like $600, $700 today. And they would just have like a schedule program on them, and you could like, send emails and then connect to your phone, connect to your house when you got home, and it would send them. He bought that, and he bought like 4 $100 coupons for like some restaurant, and had all these presents hidden in his closet. And his Dalmatian opened the closet door somehow. It's like a, doorknob, opened the closet door and ate all of them. Completely destroyed the Palm Pilot, ate all of the gift cards. Oh, it was so sad. It was so sad. They weren't for me. They were gifts for other people. I just remember that happening one year. Anyway, yeah, dogs do that. Okay. 강아지가 간식을 찾아내서 먹었어요. Okay, make sure I didn't miss any other chat. Lauren Hilton says, invisible books, the future. Yeah, we have to see if Hyunwoo can get on that to make some invisible books. Because then you can study Korean and no one will know that you're studying Korean. Isn't that useful? No, it's not useful. In fact, you want the opposite. You want everyone to know that you're studying Korean when you're studying Korean. Just print out like the biggest book that says like learning Korean on it and like open it up in the subway. Like it's like the size of a full unrolled newspaper. You're just like shh, doing this when you're in the subway, like reading. Everyone will know you're studying Korean that way. Okay, next sentence. Here's another good one. Notice that this one actually has the word 드디어. Now, the English translation, you can add the word finally, optionally, which kind of emphasizes like at last, like it took a lot, but it's now done, that sort of meaning. But you can also add that feeling even further in Korean by actually adding in the word for finally, 드디어, like at last, finally. Okay. Oh, sorry, it's at the very end of the very end of the board. I'm not good at keeping it pretty. Okay. Read this one for a sec, and I'm going to translate it. 드디어 범인이 누군지 알아냈어요. Now, if you don't know this T ending, I have a live stream all about it. So I don't want to spoil it by telling you right now, but I do have a live stream all about this form. It goes into lots of detail. So check that one out. You can search for my live stream about how to say whether and if. Now, this does not mean whether or if here, but it's the same ending. And I talk about that in the live stream. Alexia says, wear Billy's outfit and everyone will know you are studying Korean. That's true. It's true. 범인 is not suspect. So, I mean, could be, but 범인 is the actual culprit. Ah, this tea's good. It's vanilla. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Jordy says PDA. Yeah, PDA, a personal data assistant. That's right. But it was also called PDA. Yeah, but there was like Palm Pilot was one of the brands that made the really good ones. And I remember that my mom had one at the time. And so she would, of course, use it for her like work schedule and emails and stuff. I would just use it because it had a version of Doom I could play on it. It was like 5 frames per second. And you use the touch thing, the stylus to shoot. Cameron says, when will we see a return to Go Billy Gaming? The reason I stopped that, as well as a couple other things, is only due to my schedule for filming videos in Korea. Because around February, around February of last year, I realized I was going to be taking a trip to Korea. So immediately I'm like editing videos, hard editing videos every single day and filming, and then go to Korea. I obviously can't do gaming while I'm in Korea. And then when I come back, I'm editing those videos I filmed and preparing for the next ones. I take another trip in November. Now I'm still editing those videos. I'll actually be finished editing everything at the end of this month. And then I'll be free again. But unfortunately, I'm going to be working on I'm going to be working on a new series, a video series. So I don't know. The reason I started the gaming though was because I had so much free time in 2020. So much extra free time because I couldn't go on a trip to Korea that year. So that's why I started it. But now I'm actually much, much busier than that time. So I haven't been able to do just casual gaming. I actually rarely play video games these days because I'm just so busy doing editing or other stuff. Nice. I see lots of you wrote translations. Let me check them real quick. Lauren Holton says, I learned 범인 from Korean dramas. Yeah, that's definitely where you can learn the word. Okay, 드디어 범인이 누군지 알아냈어요. So 드디어, finally. So this adds emphasis to that finally meaning. Like it took effort. At last. 범인, the criminal, the culprit. Who did it? 범인. The 범인 did it. And 누군지, who he is. 누구. 알다. So here we have 알다, to know. So 내다 is not just 누군지 알았어요. Because you can say 드디어 범인이 누군지 알았어. So I finally learned who's the criminal. You can say that. But 알아내다 adds emphasis that it's not just that I learned who he was or she. It's not just that I learned who the criminal was. Could be a dog, could be an it. But it took effort to do it. And it was thanks to my effort that I managed to do it. So I managed to finally figure out, or we did, or someone did, managed to finally figure out who the culprit is. 드디어 범인이 누군지 알아냈어요. So I finally found out, or I finally figured out who the culprit is. So I finally found out who did it. 범인은 바로 너. If anyone watches that Netflix show. Okay. 저도 이것과 똑같이 만들어낼 수 있을 것 같아요. 똑같이. Okay, 저도. So me too. I also. 이것과 똑같이. So exactly the same as this. 이것. This thing with exactly. So exactly with or exactly like this. 만들다. To make. 낼 수 있을 것 같아요. So if we just had 만들 수 있어요, I can make it exactly like this. But now we have 만들어내다. So it's not just you're saying you're not just saying 만들 수 있을 것 같아요. I think I can make it, but I think I can 만들어내다. I think I can. It's going to be a bit hard. It's going to be difficult, but I think I can manage to make it just like this. You're emphasizing to the person you're talking with, like, yeah, I can do it. I think so, but it's going to be difficult. And it's going to take my own effort to do this. So there's a different nuance in that sentence. Even though the meaning or the translation could be the same in English, the nuance is very different. 저도 이것과 똑같이 Sorry, I was almost going to read it the regular way without even this form. 저도 이것과 똑같이 만들어낼 수 있을 것 같아요. So I think that I can manage to make it exactly like this. I also can. Okay. Cameron Hetzler says, go Billy editing. That's a possibility. I don't think many people would want to watch me edit. It takes me multiple days. I recently finished editing a really fun video, actually, I filmed in Busan. And that was 4 full days of editing. As in, I woke up in the morning, I showered, I edited, I ate lunch, I edited, I ate dinner, I edited, and I went to bed. I did that for 4 days because there were, it was like over an hour of footage and like 12 tracks of content. Yeah, editing is not very fun to watch. It's not very fun to do either. But once you get into kind of a groove, and it's not too bad. Okay. I just don't think anyone would want to watch it. At least not watch it more than a few minutes. I'm sure I'd get a few people be like, Billy, what are you doing? Okay. Who knows? 장발장. Don't look at the word. Don't look at this Korean word. Just listen to what I'm saying. 장발장. 장발장. Who knows who this is? Let's write that a little nicer. Who knows without looking it up? If you Google, it'll show you. Yeah, a few people got it. Blue Go Billy jeans. These are literally just plain jeans from American Eagle. I've worn these for years. They're the stretch kinds. They're really nice. So like they look like skinny jeans, which is what I like, but they're not uncomfortable like skinny jeans. They're actually really comfortable. So I could wear these while, around the house too. Yeah. Anyway, and I've actually, this one's still in good condition. I have another pair though that's gotten ripped a bunch that I keep repairing it because I like the jeans so much. Instead of throwing away and buying new ones, I just keep repairing them. Okay, 장발장은 배고픔을 견뎌내지 못하고. I keep thinking of 장발장. Okay, 장발장. The guy from Les Miserables. Jean Valjean, right? Jean Valjean. 장발장은 배고픔. So 배고프다, to be hungry. 배고픔, the noun form. So hunger. 배고픔을 견디다 is to endure, to bear. 견뎌내다, to manage to, with lots of difficulty, to endure something. Well, here, 내지 못하고. So he's not able to endure his hunger. 못하고 and 빵, bread. 훔치다, to steal. 빵을 훔쳤어요. So he stole bread, unable to endure his hunger. Someone donated. I don't see who it is. Your French pronunciation, Jean Valjean. Mais oui, c'est Jean Valjean. N'est-ce quoi? N'est-ce pas? N'est-ce pas? I don't even remember any of my French. Gosh. Cameron! Wow, Cameron. Whoa. Cameron with the $50, or are you blammering again today? Do we need to make you blammering again? Say hey boke, Manny pot o say yo. Wow. A say hey boke, Manny pot o say yo. For the first three letters, for the first three words, say hey boke, I really thought you were just writing English until I saw Manny. I can't even read it the way it's supposed to be. Okay. Say hey boke, many pot o say yo. Jean Valjean, n'est-ce pas? Mais oui. Someone wrote, Paul Chong wrote, Zhuang Zhuang. Yeah. Say hey, yes, 새해 복 많이 받으세요. Thank you. That means, for anyone who doesn't know. Okay, that doesn't mean anything in English. For the Korean, 새해 복 많이 받으세요. Happy New Year. Literally, get a lot of New Year's blessings. Get a lot of good luck for the new year. That sort of meaning. Thank you. Wow, that's amazing. $50. I'm going to do 50 dabs while you read this sentence one more time, everyone. Hopefully it's all on the screen. Okay, yeah, it is. $30. 50. Oh, kind of hurts. Oh, 50 dabs. Thank you. Okay. Now I feel dizzy. Jean Valjean은 장발장은 배고픔을 견뎌. It's always hard to say 견뎌 because it's right, but it's like 견뎌. Sounds funny. Okay. I'll try again. 장발장은 배고픔을 내지 못하. I can't even say it. 견뎌내지 못하고. because it's like I'm so used to saying 견디다. 견뎠어. I guess yeah, 견뎠어. Okay. 장발장은 배고픔을 견뎌내지 못하고 빵을 훔쳤어요. So, Jean Valjean, it's a terrible sentence. It's like things that are hard to pronounce. Jean Valjean, 배고픔, his hunger. So he wasn't able to endure his hunger and he stole bread. As in saying he wasn't able to manage. He wasn't able, how would you translate could not manage to do? He wasn't able to manage. How would you translate this one with a cannot manage to do? Wasn't able to manage to? How would you translate that in English? I'm not quite sure. I would just say he was unable to endure his hunger and stole bread. So Jean Valjean was unable to endure his hunger and stole bread. What would you say? How would you translate this if you wanted that feeling of that it was difficult to do, but he wasn't able to do that? Yeah, you could just say couldn't. Was unable to, but then it doesn't add the extra meaning of, because you could just say 견디지 못하고 배고픔을 견디지 못하고 빵을 훔쳤어요, and it has the same overall meaning, just minus that extra into the nuance. So in this case, oh, it's good tea. So in this case, you actually can't really translate it into English. You can just say couldn't. But then 견디지 못하고 would also be couldn't, even without the 내다 form. So just keep that in mind. It doesn't always need to translate in a certain way into English. As long as you know what it means, as long as you know how it feels different, you're good. Bororo asks, Billy, please tell me what is the stem of 훔쳤어요? Well, you're talking by stem? Do you mean stem or do you actually mean the original verb? The original verb is 훔치다. 훔치다. The stem is that. 훔쳤. But I don't think that's what you're asking. I think you're asking this. Okay, let's get away from Jean Valjean and other hard to pronounce words. Okay. Got a couple more sentences and then I have another note to talk about. Let's bring out our friend Charsu because he's always waiting here for us. What's Charsu going to be doing today? Oops, not 이겨, 이겨. This one also might not translate nicely. Okay. 철수는 잠의 유혹을 이겨내지 못하고 결국 잠이 들었어요. 철수. So our friend 철수. 잠. Sleep. 잠의 유혹. 유혹 is a temptation. So the temptation of sleep. Literally, sleep's temptation. 이기다. What is 이기다? Well, 이기다 is to win, to be victorious. But here, 이겨내지 못하다, to be unable to win, to be unable to defeat, in that sort of sense. So, something like that. So in this case, again, 이기다 with 내다. It's not just that he wins or doesn't win, but it's managing to do it with his own effort, trying hard, trying to win, but he can't. 못하고 결국. 결국 also means finally. So this one, though, implies in the end, ultimately, that sort of meaning. In English, we say finally for both 드디어 and 결국. 드디어 is like finally, and 결국 is like but finally or ultimately, like that. So 결국 is like ultimately. 잠이 들다 is to fall asleep. 잠이 들었어요. So he fell asleep. ultimately he fell asleep, unable to 이기다, win, literally, but you might say unable to resist the temptation of sleep. You can translate it a little more loosely because unable to win the temptation of sleep doesn't sound natural in English. 철수는 잠의 유혹을 이겨내지 못하고 결국 잠이 들었어요. So 철수 was unable to resist the temptation of sleep and ultimately fell asleep. That's 철수 for you. Okay. Let's do a little bit more difficult of a sentence. Actually, let's do it. I don't have much space here. Let's make it fit. Yeah, I got it to fit. Okay. Cool. 구의 마음도 얻어낼 수 없어요. Okay. This one I wrote a little bit smaller. Let's rewrite that a little bit nicer. Okay. 그런 태도로는 누구의 마음도 얻어낼 수 없어요. Here we have 얻다. What is 얻다? 얻다 is to receive or to get something. So you're receiving something. 얻어내다. That is not just that you're receiving something, but it's difficult to get it. It's not something that's easy. It takes a lot of your own effort, and it's hard to get it. So that's what this implies. So managed to get, finally was able to get, in that sort of sense. But in this case, 얻어낼 수 없어요. Will not manage to get, cannot get, in that sort of sense. You're not going to manage, even if it's difficult, even if it takes effort, you're not going to get it. You're not going to manage to get 누구의 마음, literally someone's heart, someone's mind. But in this case, it's basically, well, yeah, literally, you're not going to get anyone's mind. You're not going to get anyone's heart. 그런, that kind of, 태도. 태도 is attitude. 태도로. So using that kind of attitude, 태도로는, remember, emphasis. I have a lesson all about this. So using that kind of attitude, literally, you're not going to be able to get anyone's heart. That's a literal translation. More naturally would be like, you won't be able to win anyone over with that attitude. So with that kind of attitude, you're not going to be able to win anyone over. You're not going to be able to get anyone's heart. Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. 그런 태도로는 누구의 마음도 얻어낼 수 없어요. 누구의 마음도 얻어낼 수 없어요. 그런 태도로는 누구의 마음도 얻어낼 수 없어요. So with that kind of attitude, you're not going to be able to win anyone over. Chris says, can you use this with other words like, well, 알아보다 is 알다 plus the 보다 form. So like to recognize to someone. So it already has a auxiliary verb on the end of it. But there is the verb 알아내다, which we actually had as in an example. So you would use 알아내다 because you don't need 알아보다 because it's already 알다 plus 보다. So now you have 알아내다, which, like I said, we have to manage to find out. But your question is not wasted because there is a way to add more emphasis to this form, which we'll talk about in a second. Okay, I'm going to leave this up for just a second and check your comments before I go to the last part of our lesson today. Noopy says something. Archiduchesse. I'm not sure what archiduchesse is, actually. I'm sorry. My French is not good. That's all I'll say. I actually did French for over 5, maybe almost 6 years. My French is not good at all. I'm sure if someday I travel to France, I'm sure a lot of it will come back. I'm sure I'll study a lot, but until then. Okay. There is one more thing to cover about this form, and that is you can actually add more emphasis to it. There are 2 grammar forms that you can use to attach to this form to add even more emphasis to it. And those are the 버리다 form and the 고말다 form. Now, I'm not going to be doing lessons about these. These are actually full live stream episodes. It would take a long time for me it would take like 30 minutes at least to explain each of these. So if you want to learn about this and you don't know it, check out my live streams. I have live streams about both of these grammar forms already. These forms can be added onto the end of verbs that have neda to further emphasize the meaning. And that makes sense because these are used for emphasis in that way already. So let me give you just one example of what I'm talking about. And I will say it's not super common to do this. It does sound very strong, but you might see it from time to time. I can't even. I need to rewrite this part. It's too smashed. Okay. So here's an example sentence using this form we learned today, along with the 고말다 ending. And if you don't know this ending, don't worry about this sentence. But it can add even more emphasis to your sentence. For example, 나는, me, 이 시험, this test. 난 이 시험을 1등. So number 1, first place, the top, the best scoring student. 난 이 시험을 1등으로 통과하다 is to pass. So 시험을 통과하다 is to pass a test. 통과해내다. So now we don't just have pass a test, but the test is difficult. But if I put in effort, if I try really hard, it's going to be difficult, but I can do it. That sort of meaning is in the 내다 form, like doing something even though it's difficult with your own effort. So managing to pass the test, 통과해내고 말 거야. 고말다. So I'm going to, 고말다 already has the feeling of something's going to end up happening. So I'm going to end up totally passing this test in first place, doing the best. So I'm going to end up passing this test at the top, number 1. That's what the literal meaning of this form is. But the additional feeling we get is this test is going to be difficult, but I can do it with my effort. So I'm going to be putting a lot of effort into this, and it's going to be difficult. This is a difficult test, but I'm putting effort into it, and I'm going to end up passing through it. That's what's going to happen. So it's just adding more emphasis to I'm going to completely do something. I'm going to put a lot of effort into it, and I'm going to pass it. And it's difficult. It just adds more emphasis to that completion nuance of the sentence. But you don't have to do it. Just know that you might see this form used with the 버리다 form or the 고말다 form. And it doesn't have a different meaning when used with those. It just adds the meaning those forms already have. Okay. And again, this was for people who already knew those forms, but if you don't already know those forms, don't worry about this sentence. It wasn't meant to add any sort of confusion. It's just to show you how you might also see it used. Okay, that is our lesson for today. Now we will have a Q&A. If you have any questions, feel free to ask those right now. It doesn't have to be related to the topic today. Oh, Noopy says, it's a French tongue twister. Okay, well, in that case, les choses d'archiduchesse sont-elles séchées, archi-séchées? Is that a tongue twister? Les choses, everything in French is a tongue twister when I can't read it. Les choses de l'archiduchesse sont-elles séchées, archi-séchées? Okay, I guess it is kind of hard to say. Can we something like you won't manage to graduate with that discipline? Sure, you could say. 졸업해내다, implying that it's difficult. Shania, no, you wouldn't be able to use it like that. I would first though, what you want to do is, there are a few typos you'd want to fix first though. So 끝났는데, if you have past tense. I have a live stream all about the te form and past tense. I would recommend checking those out again. They're pretty short, actually. I did a live stream about the te form I did a live stream about the te form just, actually, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. So you can check that one out. Stitch. Stitch love. Stitch is she's a native Korean. 나도 투표해도 돼? 하던가. Yeah. Has your brother Alex kept up with his Korean learning? We stopped that for a couple reasons. Now the reason that we're not doing it is because, well, we're not meeting. It's due to the situation. He also moved. He used to live right next to me, like literally right next door to me. He moved, so now he's quite far. He's over an hour away. So we don't meet as often. And then the other reason is each time, in order to learn Korean, you need to have a consistent schedule, right? You need to be learning it, even if you're not studying it all day, you need to have it consistently a little bit each day or, every other day, as much as you can do. But if we only met to film once a month and he wasn't studying it on his own much outside of that, then there's only so much that we can do. There's only so far we can get. So we're not doing those again, at least not in the same way. But they were fun. He enjoyed it. I liked it. I think they came out to be pretty fun videos. Also, something I didn't talk about though, is those videos took a lot of time for editing. I think I spent more time editing those than any other videos I've ever made. Because of the way that we filmed them, how much we had to film for. I think we filmed for like 2 hours per episode, but obviously I can't make a 2-hour long episode. It would be boring. So I have to cut that down to like 20 minutes or so, or 30 minutes. So editing a 30 minute video down from over 2 hours of footage, at least we had 4 cameras going at any time. It was a lot of work. So I didn't want to do too many of those, because it was just a big process to set up for them. But I think they went pretty well, and I'm glad we were able to do them. 한국어를 열심히 공부하면 잘 될 수 있어요. Can I use it like this? You wouldn't use 내다 like that. Remember the verb, it goes onto the conjugated verb. So you have to think, what is the verb in your sentence you're attaching the 내다 form to? Lauren Holton says, I've been feeling quite unwell today, but this lesson really took my mind off it. So thank you. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. It's nice. Distractions are important. You gotta do some stuff that you enjoy. Just stuff to get your mind off of whatever else is going on. Joseline, Guamen. I just want to say your videos and lives help a lot. I appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. And yeah, right now, it's not, the whole live is not over right now, if you're wondering. Right now is Q&A time, which I do at the end of every live stream. So if you have any questions, now is your chance to ask any questions, related or unrelated to the lesson. Let's see here. Bora asks, what's the difference between 갈 수 없다 and 가지 못하다? Bora, I actually did a Korean FAQ episode about that recently. I would recommend checking that out for more details. But the really, really basic difference is that when you use 수 없다, you're implying that simply in general, you can't do something. Not that it's necessarily your fault, just something itself, by itself, something is not possible to do. So when you're using the 지 못하다 form, or just 못 before a verb, you're implying that it might be my fault. You're just saying I can't. So it's like I can't versus that's not possible. So it has a nuanced difference. And there are cases when you wouldn't use one or the other. But for more detail, I would recommend checking out that lesson because I actually go over, I think it's like a 10-minute long FAQ where I talk about exactly why, or when, I shouldn't say why, but when you use one or the other. And I give some good examples with that as well. Anthony Carlos said, what's the value of passing TOPIK if I want to move to Korea in accounting? I have a video actually about that too, believe it or not. I have videos about like everything pretty much. No, not everything. The TOPIK test is mostly, unless you need it for a job, in which case your job will tell you that you need it. It's completely optional just for yourself. If you yourself want to take a test and feel I passed the TOPIK, that's what it's for. There are some jobs that do need it, and the job will tell you, hey, you need this TOPIK score, or if you have this TOPIK score, you get this. There are some jobs like that. But other than that, no. Other than that, you don't really need it for like a need. It's more of a want. And then there are many reasons why you might want to, but that will be up to you. Stitch. 그만해, 스티치. 빌리 선생님 왜 이렇게 잘생기셨나요? Okay, let's see. Molly asks, what is the difference between 가본 적이 있어 and 가봤어요? That would also be, that's also a live topic I've done before. For the form like 해본 적이 있다, 해본 적이 없다, 가본 적이 없다, all of those 본 적이 있다 or 없다. The main difference in those is the word 적. 적 means a experience. So when you're talking about something that you've done using 적, you're only going to use it for actual experiences, something that could be an experience, versus just using the past tense or with the 보다 form, which just says you did something, you've tried it before. So you could say, I've cooked something before. I have, versus, yeah, I cooked it. So I've done some or experience before. This would be like, I've traveled before, right? I've tried watching something before. Like it was an experience doing it. So you're not just saying you've done something before, but you're saying the thing that I did was also a thing. It was an experience to do. So there would be things that you don't want to use I have the experience of with them. Let me try to think of a really common example. Have you been to Disneyland before? You can say 가봤어요. Yeah, I've been there. 가본 적 있어요. Or 가본 적 없어요. That's like I've never had the experience of going there before. Like I've never experienced that before. If you want to say, if your friend asks you, did you try, like McDonald's has a new menu item, did you try it? 먹어본 적이 없어요. Like it sounds like I've never had the experience of trying that before. It sounds a little bit like too much. You might just say 안 먹어봤어, like I didn't try it. Versus like you're not saying it's a thing, like it's a big thing, like it's an event or an experience. You're just saying I didn't try it. I actually did a whole live stream though about this form, the 적 form. I'd recommend checking that out for more examples. But it has more of a feeling of like something's an actual experience to do. And there are many cases where you just don't want to use that. It sounds awkward saying, have you ever? Yeah, a lot of like, have you tried things before? Don't really need the experience added to them. Avion asks, any Billy plushie merch in the future? I wish. I do my merchandise directly through YouTube, actually. So it's their merchandise is through a company called Spring, and they don't have any plushie options. And there are some other companies that do plushies, but I'm not a big enough YouTuber yet to get access to those. So maybe when I hit like 5 million subscribers, I can do a plushie. As for KeyCat, you can actually buy a KeyCat if you're very careful and you're looking very carefully on the internet. You could probably find one because it was a mass-produced item. I shouldn't say mass-produced. It was produced a lot, though. I think back in like 2009, 2008, 2009 is when they were making it. I own 6 of them, in case you're wondering. I bought every single one I could find. Alexia, one of my members. Good question. Let's see. Alexia asks, do you have any opinion on the book series Integrated Korean? If not, what textbook series do you recommend, except your own? Haha. Integrated Korean. I actually used it for a short period. I never used 101 or 201. I never used those series, but I did check out the 302 and the 401. I think I have one of them too right here. Where'd that go? Oh yeah, here we go. This is the 501. I do have 501. I don't really know how I don't really feel it's super advanced though. I feel it's like, I don't know. I really feel like it's just intermediate with extra vocabulary added to it. But that's really kind of what Korean is. I don't know who those guys are. Business. Yeah, it's okay, but it's not a self-study book. So, and like I said, I never used the earlier books, so I can't really tell you a good opinion about them because I never used them for studying as a beginner. But I've only used the upper level books, and from my opinions on from my experience on those ones, is that they work in a classroom, they work with a tutor or a teacher, but not so much on your own, because you really need someone there to guide you through the books. They're made to be used in a classroom, unfortunately. And that's the same for the earlier ones too. So if you have someone to help you, I'd say they're probably going to be good quality. But if you're doing it on your own, you could check them out anyway, but you might want to search for different books that are made for self-learners. Cypher says, how about body pillows? Would anyone buy a Billy or KeyCat? KeyCat, okay, maybe KeyCat. Hopefully not me. Would anyone buy a KeyCat body pillow? I don't know. That's just weird. I don't think Spring has options for me to print any body pillows though. So not for the time being. I'll say no for now. I would love how we could see the background when Billy has green stuff on screen. He needs to wear a green shirt so we can have floating. Now you know the secret. That's pretty much it. Definitely, body pillow is a great option. Yeah. Honestly, I would buy a KeyCat body pillow though. There is a pillow though. There is a pillow. Okay. It's not quite a body pillow though. I'll pin it. You can see it in the chat in just a second. It'll show up. There we go. It's not a body pillow, but it is a pillow. One side has KeyCat, the other side has me. So that's your best option. There are different colors. I actually think the pink color looks really nice, personally. Why is this so cheap? Oh, that's right. I remember when I first set it. Still, I actually set up all of the merchandise to be very low commission toward me. I don't know. Another trade secret. I don't get too much money when you buy the merchandise. It's pretty much just for branding. So if you buy it, please let me know. I really want to see who's getting my stuff, who's using it. But yeah, I was just looking at the price. I'm like, why is it only $20? I'm like, that's right, because I priced it like pretty close to its cost. Yeah, so that's Billy and KeyCat. You can get that one. Sky Blue Sim says, got your first book. Has been so useful so far. Thanks. Thank you for your support. Glad you're enjoying it. Ayakata says, ASMR, go Billy Korean. I have thought about doing ASMR. In fact, my microphone I use for streaming. Let me get this down here. It's a really good microphone. It probably would be great for ASMR. Welcome to the Go Billy ASMR stream. Today's lesson is going to be the Neda form. Yeah, I don't know. Do people want that kind of low quality? I mean, do people want that kind of content? I don't really know. I can't really say if anyone wants to see that kind of content. But yeah, I could do a lot of stuff on my channel. Go Billy, the Billy Go official home decor. Yeah, I have a special line, custom line at where would it be? What would be the big furniture brand? I don't know. Target. I have a Target furniture line. It's got my face on it. Sergeant Will says, did you ever consider doing a live reading session practice with your watchers? Reading what? I mean, I could. The only issue would be copyright. I'm not really supposed to be reading copyrighted stuff. 감미로울 수 있군요. Yes, learn Korean while sleeping. Yeah, please promise me you'll never try to do that. It does not work. It would be better just to get an actual good night's sleep than to mess up your sleep by listening to something and not learn anything at the same time. So yeah, promise me you will learn Korean when you're awake and focusing. Okay, that is it for today's lesson. I think we've done enough. I've done enough. Any other quick questions? I can take one more question for today. One more question. Synthesizer says, ASMR is really weird to me. Yeah, I don't listen to it either. Though, I don't hate it. Like, I get it. I'm just not a fan of it. I'll say that. I know actually Talk to Me in Korean did some. I don't know if they did just 2 or a few. I remember for a period they were doing a few of them. I wish they did more, but they only did a few. It's kind of nice to hear Korean made for learners. That's ASMR. That was kind of cool. But I don't care about other regular ASMR. Rita says it's over. Yeah, we started an hour 20 ago with the lesson. And it was a short lesson. We got it all done in an hour. Everyone did excellent. I should say that. Everyone did really good in today's lesson. I was really impressed. I didn't have to go back over stuff I had already taught and said like, no, this. It was like, you got it. So that was really cool. Great job, everyone. Oh, okay. And again, before we go though, remember next Sunday, there is no live stream, but the next Sunday there will be again. There will be 3 in a row. We're just taking a break for 1 week. And I always do that just so I have extra time to do editing and work on videos and stuff. Today we covered from Neda to body pillows and ASMR. That is correct. Okay, I'm just trying to see if there's one more question. I don't. Okay, Okay, here's the last one. Manu Sharma says, what do you think is easier? Learning Korean by speaking first or by learning Hangul first? You're not going to learn Korean only by speaking it. And there are not many Koreans in Korea who can't know the alphabet. I think it would be a kind of a useless science experiment to figure out if you can learn Korean without learning the alphabet. The answer would be you could learn it better by knowing the alphabet because you wouldn't know spelling and conjugation rules otherwise. You're going to learn the alphabet. That's pretty much it. You're going to learn the alphabet when you're learning Korean. There is no way to just learn it by speaking nowadays. You're going to be exposed to seeing it, whether you like it or not. Even if you purposely don't learn the alphabet, you're going to end up learning the alphabet someday. So just do it now, get it over with, and you'll learn faster from that. Okay. I had a nice time for this lesson. Thanks everyone for coming out. And again, thank you for our supporters today. Mr. D, Alexia, Arturo, Hyunwoo, who I'm sure he's gone working right now. Probably already at his office doing stuff, as well as Blamarin. Thank you to all of you. And I hope to see you again the next live stream, which will be 2 weeks from now. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you next time. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.